Grab your glass and pull up a chair. It's time for your favorite girls' night in.
Welcome to Pouring in Parenting. We're your besties, Sil and Inish.
We're here to laugh through the chaos. Hello, Pores. Let's start the show.
Welcome back to Pouring in Parenting. We are your hosts, Sil and Inish. Thank you for listening. Tonight's theme is everlasting love. The stuff that takes you from playing the field to first dates to that magical marriage milestone.
Yes, we'll talk about how we got there. Spoiler, awkward small talk, bad hair, and heroic coffee choices were involved. We'll also dig into trends and myths about dating, commitment, and finding your person.
Plus game stories and, of course, our pour check-in. Inish, what are you sipping on tonight?
Today I poured whiskey and lemonade. Easy peasy.
Okay, I like it.
Thanks. What did you pour into your cup tonight?
Well, if you remember from last week, I had that absolute espresso martini and I had made a comment that it was really strong. I decided to pour a little bit of vanilla creamer. I shook it up with some ice, poured it in my drink. It tastes a little sweeter, but definitely not less strong. Getting into our first topic, courting and first dates. Inish, when I say courting, what do you think I mean? What comes to mind?
I think about what's that show called on Netflix?
Bridgerton.
Yes, that's what I think about. I think about courting. And honestly, I wish it was like that. Like all the dancing. Okay, Shonda Rhimes with the hip hop orchestra music
Oh,
vibes that she has,
yes.
right?
I love that.
It's like she makes it so beautiful. It could be like the roughest song, but
To the
make it orchestra,
window, to the wall.
but make it orchestra, right? Like
Yeah, and then it's fancy.
it's so fancy. So when you say courting, I think of just back in the day, like even coming back to like the 80s or 70s or 60s, I guess, where you're going on dates, you are asking the parents permission. The parents know exactly who you're going on the date with, and a chaperone even. They have chaperones on Bridgerton, right? So
Yeah.
everything's all chaperoned. So I'm here for that. I love that.
What the traditional courtship is, usually it involved intentional boundaries, plus family community input. So, yeah, like what you said, the parents knew each other. They knew what family you were coming from, and all those like little inside details that you really don't get nowadays. And today's dating, it ranges from apps to blind dates just to see where things go. So before I think the intent was marriage. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, you're going to date this guy and maybe date that guy. Like, nope, you're dating because we want you to marry this man or marry this woman because they're from like a great family. And now it's so informal. People are just finding each other on apps, going on blind dates or, meeting each other at a bar, wherever. And you just kind of see how it goes.
Yeah. Very informal. Very, very informal form of dating.
Love at first sight is required for lasting love. However, the reality in a study of long term couples, only a minority report immediate sparks. Most describe a gradual deepening of connection. So basically, what I'm taking from this is that love at first sight, yes, it can happen, but it's really a very few people who experience those immediate sparks where the most of us, normal people, you find that deep connection as time goes on. Like you don't just get that right away. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to be whisked off and married. What came to me, and there's a parent side of me, is in Frozen when Anna
Right.
meets Prince Hans, and it's this like love at first sight, immediate connection. Like we're going to be married, and he's going to come live in the castle. And like, yeah, no, that doesn't really happen like that, right?
Right. That's the fairy tale syndrome.
There's another misconception that there's only one soulmate for everyone. Many researchers say compatibility and commitment matter as much as chemistry. What do you think?
I don't judge. A lot of people have their high school sweethearts, their first loves, and you internally feel like this is it. Like you're going to be my person. And then that young puppy love syndrome, because I know all the syndromes now, is just that. You snap out of it and then you meet your next person. So I agree with that. I agree with that for
Okay.
sure.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's only that one soulmate for everyone. I think more is like you might have a soulmate for that season. Like you had this person for this season at your age, like at this point in time, but you might have a soulmate for another season. And it just kind of goes until you really find that one.
Your
Because,
person.
starting, yeah, like your real person. So, okay, yeah, definitely some interesting misconceptions, all that I feel like I've believed at one point in my life.
Yes.
All
Heavy on
right.
the
So
high
let's
school
talk
sweetheart.
about all right, let's talk about our first dates with our hubbies because if we're talking about first dates in general, we could be here for a while. So let's just focus on
Yes. Oh, Lord knows
the
I've had a
men
lot
we
of first
married.
dates.
Yeah, so let's just focus on the last first date we had. I remember mine. He actually picked me up from my house. And it's funny because, I mean, yeah, texting was already a thing, thank God. And I was used to when a guy picked me up, they would just text me, "Hey, I'm outside." All right, cool. So I'm in my room, I'm getting ready, and I hear the door. I was like, no, no, like, no one does that. What the frick? And then I have a knock on my door from my brother, like, "Hey, there's some guy here for you." And I was like,
Ooh.
"Are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, no, this is not okay." And of course, everyone was home. My mom, my dad. I think my dad met him. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, we were just gonna go out for pizza. Like, what the heck? So
Mhm.
so it was definitely awkward for me just because that was not my thing. Like I didn't introduce guys to my family. Um, definitely not the first date. Like, barely getting to know you. But we went to my favorite pizza spot. He had told me that he loved pizza. So I was like, oh, you're gonna love this pizza. We went and he did not love the pizza, actually.
I
He
can
didn't
see
even like
that.
the place. It was kind of embarrassing. But I mean he was a good sport about it. And he didn't even tell me right away. He told me way later. He's like, I don't really want to go back there. Excuse me? What? And he's still a hater to that place,
I know
honestly.
exactly what
Uh,
place you're talking about too. I know
yeah,
exactly what pizza you
very
got
well
too.
known pizza place around here. But yeah, so overall, it was like a good date. Just that small talk, getting to know each other. And it was easy. It wasn't like, oh, I'm never going to see this guy again. It actually went really well. But
Obviously.
yeah, no, right? Yeah, definitely. You put a ring on it. But what about yours? What do you remember about your first date?
So we had two different versions of our first date. So this version that I would tell was not his version. And so we ultimately ended up going with his version of the first date. My version of the first date
Interesting.
it was a double date. And we went to TJ,
Mm-hmm.
came back, and then went to Denny's and dropped me off
Good
back
old
at home.
Denny's.
He was like, "That legit is not our first date." Like, we were with other people, and he was like, "I would not take you to TJ for a first date." And I'm like, "Well," so we were just getting to know each other. And so the actual real first date that we both agree on today now is we went to the Cheesecake Factory. He came to the house. He did the exact same thing as your hubby did. He came to the door. He introduced himself to my parents. That was a
Oh
very
my gosh.
awkward. I know. It was really awkward just because my husband and my father both served in the military, but they served in different branches. And my dad has zero chill with his mouthpiece. So my dad
No.
was being like low key rude. He called him like a derogatory word for the branch that he served in to his face. I was like, bruh, who does that?
Gosh.
But he took it, he laughed, and when I say derogatory, it's just considering the branch that he was in.
Right.
But my hubby, dusted his shoulders off, he laughed, respected the veteran before him, it was 2 vets looking at it. No, actually, my husband was still serving. So but he
Yeah.
respected the veteran in front of
As he
him and
should.
and laughed it off, real graceful, and my parents did appreciate the fact that he did come to the door. He was really respectful. My parents were so big on respect. To sum everything up I just said, we went to the Cheesecake Factory was our first date, and it was a good time.
And at what point did you think like, this relationship might go somewhere?
I think the fact that my parents seemed to really embrace him, like, their energy was just a little different with him. I knew when I met my husband that I was gonna marry him. My husband will lie and say that he did not know such, but I know he knew that I was the one. So, just everything about him, his energy, he was just just a different vibe that of energy that I connected with. I don't know, I just kinda knew. But you know what? I will say when I was, like, in middle school, like, between 6th and 8th grade, I wrote a list with one of my friends about what we want our dream guy to be, and I had the list. I'm pretty sure I still have the list. I'll have to, like, see if I can find it. You know, here I am with my little 12-year-old brain, like, "Ooh, he needs to make sure he wears these kind of shoes, and his pants," it was, like, a little ridiculous, but some of the specific things that I remember, he fit in the category, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, thank you, God, not you sending him to me all early." So,
Right?
that's how I knew. What about you? So how did you what made you know?
You know what? It's a lot of like what you said, honestly. It was
Mm,
definitely a different vibe. He was also very respectful. You can tell that he was raised very well. And just, it honestly was just so easy. And I just felt he made me feel comfortable around him. And we can just like talk and have fun. He could like be silly with me. And I think that's just, I mean, like, I've always been attracted to someone who can make me laugh. And he
yes.
absolutely like hit that spot on top of the other great characteristics that he has. Yeah, it was honestly just like a unique situation. I remember where I was at that point in my life when I met him, and I had already told myself like I wasn't going to date. I was going to focus on myself. I had just got back to school, so I was like, "New me, new whatever." And then here he comes along, and I think it was meant to be. Like the timing of
Yes,
on it felt like nothing I had felt before.
yes.
That
I
sounded so
completely agree.
corny. Yuck.
You know, you know. We felt it, ladies and gentlemen.
I hate that I
Bleh.
just said that. Like,
Ugh.
poop, poop. Yeah.
Spit it out.
God dang it, I'm corny. All right, so moving on to our next section, playing the field versus commitment. So the trend lately is a later commitment and a later marriage. So the average age of first marriage in the US has steadily increased for about the age of 30 for men and the age of 28 for women, meaning that people date longer and or focus on personal growth before settling down. How do you feel about that?
It's that's their cup of tea. So my hubby and I dated for a cool minute before we've before he proposed. And at first I was frustrated about it. But then once it happened, I realized that it was the best thing for both of us, just so we were able to mature, we were able to grow as individuals, we were able to just learn ourselves and nurture ourselves. And so we ultimately dated for 10 years before he popped the question. And in the midst of the 10 years, we did break up a couple of times. And we were both able to explore other options and date other people and really decide if we were actually each other's person. So
So you
dating,
played the field.
yeah, that wasn't the intent, but that's what happened. What about you? How do you feel about
All
that
right.
statement?
Yeah. So I guess it depends on the circumstances and even people's personalities and their goals in life. So this is going to sound not great, but my goals weren't up to par. Okay. I don't want to say I didn't have goals when I met my husband, but they weren't like there were goals that I could just like, okay, I'll just choose a different goal. Like nothing that I was super committed to. We didn't date very long at all. And
Mhm.
then he popped the question and then we got married right away. Well, I guess within about 2.5 years or
2
so, all
years,
that
yeah.
happened. But I will say that, and like I had just said earlier, when I met him, I was in a different point of my life. I felt like I had already played the field, and not that I was looking for Mr. Right, but he just happened to show up and he was Mr. Right. And I wasn't going to let that go. But like that worked for us. But once again, I had got a lot out of my system. I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want in a man and in a relationship. And I knew where I was working on who I was back then. So I think just the life experience I had already had, I was okay, like I can make this commitment. I've already seen what's out there and it's not great.
Right, right. Yeah,
So,
no, I
but I
completely
mean,
agree.
Yeah, but I mean, if, being in a longer relationship or waiting longer to be fully committed to someone else works for you and it works for people that you're interested in, then do it. What I read just a few moments ago, it says the average age of first marriage. I would hope to stay in the same marriage until death do us part.
Yeah.
But if he was to part first, I am not looking for another marriage. And our next trend is serial monogamy. So, some researchers note that long term adults today often move through several serious relationships before finding a long term partner. I'm assuming that means adults who are like to be like in long term relationships. So, they have several long term relationships before finding that real long term partner.
Mhm.
I just wouldn't wanna waste my time because if you've been with someone for so long, at one point, like, "Okay, I wanna spend the rest of my life with you or I don't." Like, why waste someone else's time too? I feel like that's selfish.
I
Or
mean, if
am I not understanding that correctly? Are you hearing that a different way?
I guess I am only because I know serial monogamy people, feel like I've dated one. They're pretty upfront, right? And I say they with my one under my belt. Oh, ladies, I'm a professional and I'm not. But I think it's people that like to be in relationships, but that next step of commitment is scary. So as opposed to taking that next step and say, hey, let's get married and actually going through it, like that's such a big commitment. A lot of people say, oh, it's just a piece of paper. But I think that the serial monogamous person is literally just afraid of that full-blown commitment. And so I'm gonna ride this ride until the wheels fall off, until you get tired and say, "Oh, okay, I don't oh, okay, cool." Right? And I
Right.
feel like a lot of the times it is men that have that mentality to just, "Oh,
Mhm.
we're monogamous. Yeah, I'm not dating anybody, you're not dating anyone, we're dating each other." And then the woman is like, "Okay, like, my biological clock is ticking," which is where a lot of the pressure falls onto the man, and then the woman finally realizes, like, "Okay, you're wasting my time." Like you just mentioned, you're wasting time, and they finally get themselves out of the relationship if they can, because I do see it as being a difficult place to be in, especially if with women being nurturers and a woman thinking that they can change or fix that
Mm.
monogamous, that title that that man has presented without even saying anything. The gentleman that I dated, he made it clear enough, and I wasn't looking for anything serious, obviously. I was in and out of my relationship with my boyfriend at the time. And so we just had a very clear understanding, and it worked. And so for the serial monogamist person that's out there, and ladies, be aware of who you're dating. And they may not blatantly tell you that, oh, I'm a serial monogamist. I just like to date, but I'll never put a ring on it. They'll give you clues. There are clues. If you just have to be very aware of the situation.
Okay, yeah,
So,
thank you for that. I hope that helps some of our poors out there who find themselves in this situation. And I think the most important thing to even take from that is don't think you're going to be the one to change that man.
right.
I don't see it work out very often. Just find the
Remove
clues
yourself. Yes.
and go. And I know us women, we are emotional, we get attached, and all the other nonsense that goes on in our brains and our hearts. But get away, run.
Yes.
Don't waste your
Remove
time.
yourself. Remove yourself, ladies. It's okay.
So, looking back, okay, because we did talk about dating around, did you find that helpful or was it overall exhausting?
I found it helpful. I think everyone should play the field. I was able to see what I didn't like. I was able to meet men and converse with different types of everything. I realized that, oh, I don't like your energy. I like this energy. But I can also honestly say that since I knew from jump that my hubby was going to be my hubby, it was also the base for men. Like they were kind of already coming into a battle that they were probably already gonna lose because I was comparing them.
Okay.
And so I can admit that I did a lot of comparing. Also, he was, the he was like a real life version of my little 8th grade mind that I had wrote on paper too.
Gosh.
I was so specific in that my list of what I was looking for, like, down to the height. Oh, he
Oh
has to
my
be above
gosh.
6. Oh, I was crazy. I manifested. I didn't even know what manifesting was, and there I was manifesting my future husband in middle school, and then boom,
Are you
19,
listening to,
there he
like,
is.
Mary J. Blige or just, all those love songs? Your
Like
favorite
I
Keith
said, eh,
Sweat?
no ma'am. No ma'am.
Anisha's not a Keith Sweat fan, unfortunately. I don't understand how, but yeah, I'm just trying to go back to those times. Tony Braxton was on the radio, just all those
Yes, Toni Braxton,
feelings, just
TLC,
the
SWV.
SWV. Ooh,
Yes,
Jinx.
I was
Yeah, you're
listening
getting so weak in the knees for this,
writing
for
my
this
list
man
out.
you were writing.
Like Build a Man at 8. I was like, that was in middle school that I wrote, but I swear I have it still. But yeah, so no, I definitely feel like playing the field is beneficial. It looked good on me.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you feel
Okay.
about that?
Yeah, I think it was definitely helpful. Just like the person that I was pre dating my husband or boyfriend at the time, it was a little wild, and yeah, okay. Do you remember? Okay, this is why kids shouldn't be alone watching TV. Okay. I was probably what in middle school or even like my freshman year, I would watch Girlfriends.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh,
Do, do you remember Lynn?
yes, absolutely. That was a free
So,
spirit.
yeah, that was my inspiration. Lynn was my
Oh.
inspiration. Yeah, you get that
Oh,
now.
yes, I do.
Yes.
She was a very free
She was
spirit.
a very, yes, kind of hippie-ish in her own way. And I heard what I liked apparently and just went with her words. And I took that with me for many years. So when I say I was wild, now you know what I mean. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that might be best. But yeah, so it was a lot, but when I say I got a lot out of my system, I did, and I was ready for that real man, that real commitment, that real love. So it was helpful. There was a lot of weeds in my garden of losers, but I
I was like, "Ooh, where's she going with that statement? We's in
yeah.
what garden?" Squeeze me? I was like, "Girl, whoa,
It's so dumb. It's not where I was
my
going
ears
with
perked
this.
up." My ears were like, "Er."
But I found the right one, okay, who watered my garden as it should be. And moving on. So we talked about us knowing that we knew when they were the one. So, what does the one actually feel like emotionally?
Safe. They
Yeah,
feel comfy, familiar, warm, peace, love, just everything. Just it feels like home. And a lot of the men before, I didn't feel all of that. And I feel all of that with my hubby. And it's such a nice feeling to feel. And the crazy thing is I was 19 and instantly knew. I was like, "Okay, okay, you gonna be the
I
one,
see
sir."
you.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, "I see what you're doing." And I felt all of those feels. Again, even dating other men in between our breakups, I always could see the difference. And just even in the energy of the men that I was dating, just a completely different energy that they would bring to the table to me. And from jump, my husband's energy just felt genuine and it felt nurturing. So that's what it felt like.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
What
I
about
like
you? How
that.
did it feel?
It's very similar, like, to what you're saying, it's not just fireworks, it's, like, that comfort, that feeling safe,
Yes.
that and not necessarily just safe and, like, "Oh, he can keep me safe," but safe also as in, like, your heart is safe, your peace is
Mm.
safe, all that, internals, you just feel like overall you're at peace, and you do notice that when you've dated others who don't give you all of what you deserve. When you finally get that, it's like, dang, like this is what it's supposed to be like. You really do just know. And I think the most important thing to take out of that is that it was not forced. None of our relationship ever came forth. There was no fighting in the beginning. I mean, even now, like we rarely fight. But we also do have really good communication. But like, yeah, there was no drama fighting. There was no like crazy text messages or pulling up to his house or him pulling up to my house. Like it was far and few in between. It was not forced. And I feel like I tried to force it with others before him. I mean, clearly it didn't work for a reason. If it's just too difficult, too hard, it's probably not for you. And that's just the universe telling you, turn the other way. And I think a lot
Absolutely.
of people miss those cues. It should not be difficult. Why are you fighting and you've only dated for a month or two? Like, what do you fight about?
Hello.
So yeah, it was really easy. And once again, that's not something that I experienced in past relationships. So long-term success correlates with discipline, communication, and shared meaning, not just chemistry. It's not always going to be that lust and that like wanting to be in each other's faces and down each other's throat all the time. It does take discipline. It does take getting to know one another and learning each other's triggers and learning, or just basically learning each other and communicating, being able to share a space together and be fine and be comfortable to get that long term success. And I could say that I feel like I'm in a successful marriage, 11 years in. And, we've never thrown around the D word, but we do have that discipline when it comes to finances, when it comes to communication, the children, our goals, all that stuff. It's all there. And once again, I'm not saying by any means that my relationship is perfect, but we have those tools necessary to continue to have that long-term successful marriage.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I agree. Communicating is so big. The fact that my husband and I spent, I would say, half of our marriage in different states. I live someplace, he lives someplace else. It's been completely different experience than what you've experienced. Again, we were young, 19, he was in his 20s. And so you can only imagine thinking back when you were 19, being in a relationship. One of the
It's
biggest
crazy.
things, yeah, it's so crazy. One of the biggest things about the communicating is that I mentioned it a few episodes back with the gift giving. I think in episode 2, I was talking about how my boyfriend at the time, which was my husband now, had given me a gift, and we just hadn't communicated that, and so I didn't give him anything. And then it was a lack of communication. We talked about it. He wasn't even tripping. We moved on. He got a Valentine's Day gift, and we moved on and went on about our lives. But the crazy thing is that before we made it official, I didn't know that we were official. So I was talking to other people and just entertaining. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was just entertaining, talking on the phone. Sure. Was I sending text messages back then? Was
After
that a
9?
thing? After 9 o'clock, I was sending text messages. And at one point, it's such a small world, there was a friend that I was texting of his, no clue that
Holy
that they knew
guacamole.
each other. I didn't know they knew each other. And I had met this man one time, and that's all it was. We stayed in contact with each other. Come to find out they know each other. My husband finally brings it to my attention, or my boyfriend at the time, and he was like, "Hey, like, I thought we were dating." I was like, "Yeah, we dating, but we dating." And he was like, "Nah." And so he, at that moment, was like, "Okay, girl, like, I need you to calm down and, like, we're exclusive." And so him making that moment exclusive really, validated the beginning of, like, just communicating. In that moment, I realized, like, okay, we definitely need to better communicate than what we've been doing. 19, I realized that. At the end, so yeah, at the end of the day, you have to be able to communicate. Husband and I have been through so many different obstacles and trials and tribulations, and we're 10 years deep, to almost, 10 and a half years in, renewed our vows last year, and we are holding on strong.
Awesome. I love it. Love the love.
Yay. Love the love.
All right. Moving on. It would not be a pouring and parenting episode without a game. So this one is called First Date Red Flags or Forever. So how it works, one host reads a first date behavior. The other host decides if it's a red flag, forever material, or depends on the vibe. Okay. So I will start first. Inish. brought you coffee unprompted. Would that be a red flag, forever material, or depends on the vibe?
The first date behavior, okay. It would depend on the vibe.
Depend on the vibe. Okay. Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, Sil laughed really hard at your jokes.
Say depends on the vibe. I don't think I'm that funny. So if it was like awkward laughing, like laughing really hard, I might get scared and then call that a red flag. But if I feel like he's just trying to be sweet, then that might be, that forever material. It just depends if I get scared or not.
Okay.
All right. Asked what you're looking for in a relationship.
I would say that is forever material. That's a
Okay.
good question to ask if you're serious about the future and what we're doing in this moment. So I would say it's forever material.
On the first date, I feel like that's rough. Okay.
Talked about marriage on the first date.
Red flag. I'm scared. No.
Okay. That's pretty
That's
aggressive.
too
That's
much. That's aggressive. Yes.
yeah, it's like, do you ask everybody that?
All right, let's see. If he said, I've been thinking about you all night.
I it depends on the vibe. I'm gonna say I'm like borderline red flag depends on the vibe because we obviously met. I gave you my number, and what if I was feeling you? It's still kind of creepy though because you should have
Was it
kept
my
that to
creepy
yourself. Maybe
voice?
that's a red flag. It was your creepy voice, actually.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like it. So maybe that's a red flag. I kind of got the creeps.
Okay. Like if you sent you a voice message and it's like, Inish, I've been thinking about
Nope,
you all
red
night.
flag. Nope, I'm
Okay.
not going. I canceled the date. I just canceled it. Red flag. Red
Block my
flag.
number.
Okay. Initiated a kiss on the first date.
Depends on the vibe. Was overly cautious and hesitant.
I would say that's forever material.
Okay.
I like that you're aware of what your movements are doing and as long as it's in a positive manner, right? So yeah, I like that.
All right. Well, that was fun. All right. So you've heard about us dating. Clearly, we've made it to the altar. They gave us our rings. Now it's time to hear how the proposal went. Okay. So, where did it happen? Were there any mishaps, any surprises, nervousness? Paint the moment.
Me first?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't mind if I do. So the moment is we were supposed to go someplace at a certain time, and I can't remember where we were supposed to go, but we had an appointment, and I was freaking out, and he was really calm. My husband was so calm, and I was like, "Why is he so calm? We have to get there. We have to be somewhere." He was like, "It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna go to dinner, and we'll get to where we have to be." And I'm like, "But you said we have to be there at a certain time. We're going back and forth." He's like, "It's cool." So we could go to eat dinner first, and I am freaking out. And he's like, "It is 100% fine. Like, calm down." We order our food, and the waiter, like, we both ate our dishes. Excuse me, we both ate our dishes, and the waiter had came back for, like, the last time. Like, we were wrapping up our meals, and the waiter was like, "Oh, would you like any dessert?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll have a slice of cheesecake."
Mhm.
And he was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, just, strawberry topping, cheesecake, no biggie." We were sitting outside on the patio area. Excuse me. And the waiter was like, "Okay, great. I'll be back." And so we're waiting. I'm waiting. We're waiting, waiting and waiting. And then my now husband had to get up. He was like, "I'll be back." I was like, "What the heck is taking him so long? Like, this is actually getting a little ridiculous." I was getting ticked off. And my husband's like, "Oh, I'll be back." And I'm like, "Where are you going? We have to be somewhere at a certain time." And so my husband gets up. He leaves, and they finally bring boxes for, like, our leftover food. I start packing the food, and I'm sitting there, like, losing my shit. Now at this point, my husband comes back. I was like, he literally or, like, someone had literally brought everything but the stupid cheesecake. I was like, "Why? I never ordered dessert." Mind you, my husband, like, kind of pressured. He's like, "Yeah, get the cheese. You like cheesecake?" I was like, "I do, but I don't need it." He's like, "No, get the cheesecake." And I'm like, "I shouldn't have ordered the cheesecake." So I'm yelling at my now husband. I was like, "I shouldn't even order the cheesecake. Like, we have to go." He's like, "No, it's fine. We're good." He's like cool as a cucumber. And I'm like, "What the fuck, man? Like, what's happening?" I thought I was in the twilight zone because I'm like, why am I the only one panicking right now? Like, because he had to be somewhere. You know what? He played rec basketball at the time. He was playing recreational basketball. He had to get to a game. And so from a distance, I see the server coming with a big ass box. It was like a whole cheesecake. And I was like, "This mother effer." I hope he didn't put it on the tab. I ordered a slice. He's bringing the whole cheesecake. Like, I'll be
So you're
damned if
mad
we
at the
pay for the
waiter.
whole cheesecake. Yes, like, not you bringing the whole cheesecake month, like, mofo, we ordered a slice, not the whole cheesecake. It's crazy. That's crazy. And so I'm hot. Before he even came to the table, I was like, babe, he bringing the whole cheesecake is crazy. Like, that's crazy. That's OD. I said a slice with strawberry topping. And my husband's like, it's cool. We're good. It's cool. And I'm like, what is wrong? Like, who paying for
About
that?
to
Like,
get
that's
cheesecake to the
crazy.
face.
Right? And so then he drops the cheesecake off. And I was like, we ordered, and my husband, because I'm hot. I was like, where's the ticket? Can you drop the ticket? I'm popping off. And my husband, I turn around, he opens the box of cheesecake, and there's one slice of cheesecake in there in the freaking ring, and the server had wrote, "Will you marry me?" And I'm like, I start crying. And I'm like, "Oh, it's so stupid." So I'm, like, crying, everyone's clapping, I don't remember anything he said. I don't even know when he stopped talking, honestly. And then I obviously said yes, and then the server came back, he's like, "I'm so sorry." He was like, "You were so mad." He was like, "I was scared to come back to the table." He told me he was scared to come back, and I was like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "Your husband reassured me that everything would be fine." That gentleman received a very nice tip for anybody who's wondering. He tipped him fat because I was stressed. But that was the proposal story.
Oh my gosh, that could have gone really bad, especially for that poor server.
Oh, it's crazy. I'm like, "Why'd he do it that day?" I was asleep. He woke me up out of my sleep that day too. Told us, "Let's go eat." I'm like, "Or you could eat the leftovers. Why did you wake me up right now? That's crazy." But it all worked out, ladies. When your man does something weird, just go with the flow. You never know.
Right? Moral of the story.
The moral of the story is if he wakes you up out your sleep and you got leftovers in the refrigerator, he wanna take you out, girl, just go. Just go.
I'm trying to fight anybody,
Don't try to
ruin
fight it. And if I
everything.
can listen, if I can find the video, we will definitely post it on social media
Oh,
if I can find it. I'm sure he has it. So anyway, so
sweet.
tell us your love story.
Well, when he proposed to me, it was definitely a surprise. So it was for a birthday. Okay. I don't remember. I was in my early 20s. And,
Okay, that's crazy.
and I remember my parents wanted to throw me a birthday party. And I had already had plenty of like crazy birthday parties. I was just like, why do you that you were a part of? Thank you. And we will not
Yeah.
discuss
Nope.
those.
Nope.
But anywho, like they were just like really adamant. And look, a lot of things go over my head. So I was just like, I mean, fine, if you want to plan this party. And it was like a Hawaii, I mean, my birthday's in the summer. It was a Hawaiian themed birthday party. Like, all right, cool. And they were just like so over the top. And never once, not once did I think anything was going to go down. And so the day gets here and then I'm dressed. I think I made the jungle juice. Man, it was a huge yard. I mean, it was my birthday. And the thing is that, like, my dad invited everybody. Like, my uncles were there, aunts, cousins that, I hadn't seen in a while. And it never registered in my head. Like, why are my parents making a big deal about this? Like, it was like a random birthday. Like, it wasn't even a big year.
Mm.
I'm like, whatever, cool. And I'm just, doing whatever. And I just remember everyone, like his family was there, his parents were there, like everybody was freaking there. And here I am, just not, you were there. No clue. I had no clue. The only thing I remember, and I remember you. So I was a little tipsy when we sang happy birthday. And I also remember this. It was like time. Well, it was like, okay, I was a grown ass woman and they wanted to sing happy birthday to me. And they were making it a big deal. And I was like, it's unnecessary. Like, let's just cut the cake. Like, I don't want all that attention. And my dad, I just remember seeing him like, all right, we're going to sing happy birthday. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, I am a grown ass woman. Like, you don't have to do that. And then everyone was taking pictures. I'm just standing there in front of the cake, everyone's singing happy birthday. There's like all these like cameras out. And I'm just live like,
I'm so
okay. And
amazing. I'm so
right.
popular.
I'm just like smiling. They forgot to even blow out the candle. Like I forgot to look down. And I remember there's a video. And you are in the background, like, oh, what a ham. You said that. And I think that was just like, oh, shoot. Yeah, I got to blow out this candle. And so I blew out a candle. And then here comes Carlos with this little box. And it looked like a present. And I was like, I look at him like, I'm not gonna open this now. Like, I just did the cake. Like, why does everyone want me to do everything in front of everyone? Like, what's going on? So then I opened it, and then he just gets down on a knee, and it says, it's like a little cake with the bride and groom, and it says, "Will you marry me?" And I look, and he's on one knee, and I instantly, like, I don't even know how, it's just all these tears
Right?
just came down. And at one point, he put the ring on my finger. I said yes. And I remember the first person I looked for was my mom. I was like, "Mom." And so I went, like, everyone's like in tears. And then I realized why. Like, everything started
So
making sense. But I mean, they pulled it off. I literally had zero freaking clue, like no clue, which I feel like
yeah.
had I thought about it, I would have been like, okay, everyone's here. Like all these
Right.
cameras are out. Like, but nope, just went right over my head. But I mean, it was a very memorable time and all my family was there. You were there. Like it was a really good time. And I think he did great.
Yes.
So, yeah, like, I don't think
Yeah.
I had always, like, thought of, like, an intimate romantic type of proposal, but honestly, being able to give my parents and my family, like, my grandmas and, like, everyone that memory that, they're gonna keep,
Yeah.
forever, like, I think that was also, like, really sweet on his part that he did include everybody because everybody well, I don't wanna say that everybody remembers, but, they were all a part of that with us, so that was
That
really nice
moment.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. How crazy. We have 2 completely different moments from an intimate moment that I shared with random strangers.
Yeah. A scared server.
But, we're in this very scared server, and, maybe those strangers are talking about it. The one time a guy proposed to his girlfriend in the middle of the Cheesecake Factory, and why
Yeah.
there, right?
Right, yeah, they're like, "Oh, why here?" But, yep, like, there was clearly a reason why he passed
Yes.
13 other Cheesecake Factories to get to that one.
Sweet Jesus, are we still driving? To your very, family-filled moment, family and friend moment, because I still have pictures that pop up every year that,
Yeah.
reminds me of that moment, so I love that.
Well,
I
good
love love.
times.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. And so just to touch on proposal trends, not everyone proposes in that classic kneeling way anymore. Okay. Some couples create unique rituals like low key moments, shared decisions, or non traditional proposals. And that's fine too, whatever works for you. What I think matters ultimately is that intentionality and that shared meaning. So it doesn't have to be all the bells and the whistles and the confetti and, the whatever else, blimp with, will you marry me on it? Like, it doesn't have to be all that. Just every couple's different as long as, I don't want to say as long as you get that ring, but that commitment to
Right.
one another.
Get that
Getting
ring, girl. Oh,
as long
that's
as
not what we
you
selling.
have that moment, right? Yeah, no, I'm not pushing rings. Okay. But just those intentional moments, that shared meaning, because it's going to mean something regardless of how it's done. And that's just the very beginning. You have a whole very interesting journey ahead of you. Yeah. So we are at our wrap up. Final thoughts on that everlasting love. Key takeaways. Key takeaways. Love evolves. You go from courtship, dating, commitment to an enduring partnership. There's no one path to lasting love, and authenticity matters. Okay, so whatever path works for you, whether it's for many years, a short 3-week path, whatever it is, we all have our own paths that we need to take and embrace. Relationships thrive on communication, shared growth, intimacy, and teamwork.
Tell us, what was your first date like? And when did you realize you found someone special?
Whether you met over coffee or a chaotic blind date, love that lasts is worth telling.
Here's to the awkward first, the sweet middles, and the everyday love that keeps us going.
Thanks for listening to Pouring and Parenting.
Where sip happens and we pour about it.